Dear colleagues, estimate guests, friends, it is a great pleasure and an honor for me to be a part of this conference about homeschooling, here in Poland and especially here in Leonora. First of all, I want to warmly thank the organizing committee and my friends Magda and Łukasz that represented the link between us and this scientific event. Even if I can't be here in real presence, thanks to the virtual dimension of social interaction represented by the internet, I can give to you my personal contribution to this conference. Just a few words to introduce myself. I am a researcher in sociology at the University of Catania, Department of Educational Sciences. My current research interests follow two lines, combining sociological theory and history of sociological thoughts. And I hope that this event will represent the startup of a close collaboration between our departments that will work together in the next future. Thank you. The growing public attention about the alternative forms of educational processes as the homeschooling sheds a light upon a wide range of non-formal educational practices. Observing the homeschooling from a sociological perspective, it is possible to argue that homeschooling challenges the whole formal educational system. Considering this, the aim of this paper is to pose a precise question to the homeschooling families and communities. How to explicitly embody social competencies into the homeschooling daily practices? This question is based upon a contextual consideration. The inflamed debate on European educational contexts unveils a problematic image of contemporary educational system that still follows an obsolete model, insufficient to ensure the efficiency both in education, cultural transmissions and social development. In fact, from one end, public education is considered as a right to knowledge, and it is one of the main achievements of the modern democratic society. On the other hand, public education and the literacy spread satisfy the global society requirements, ensuring a basic set of information and knowledge in order to provide innovations and global standards of life. From this point of view, any form of education is a kind of investment, both for social integration and the economic development of society, focusing upon the new generations. As underlined by the classics of sociology, Parsons, before all the others, stressed the function of educational institution and the relative role of socialization agencies. In particular, Parsons underlined how familiar status and cultural habits were determinant in order to mark the difference in youth social achievement. Nowadays, a recent research argues that modern economic conditions, the familiar background fosters or embeds an effective set of resources for youth life change. Inside this complex framework, this work wants to incorporate the theoretical model of a European research project coordinated by the sociological group of the Department of Educational Sciences in Catania, named SMILEY, explicitly dedicated to the improvement of social competencies. My work tries to translate the theoretical skeleton of SMILEY project into the homeschooling educational practices. Let's take a look inside this point. The SMILEY project was funded under the lifelong learning program Comenius, and it was carried out over a 2 year from January 2011 to December 2012. The fundamental aim of the project was to transform the differences that exist between pupils into a resource instead of a barrier to integration. This target was achieved through an e-learning platform that hosts an educational role-playing game connecting students and teachers from their partner countries, Italy, Turkey, Poland, Romania and the United Kingdom. In this sense, the main aims of the project were to promote the use of information and communication technologies in order to test an effective conflict resolution approach, preventing exclusion practices in different educational contexts, and to encourage students' understanding of social rules. Starting from these aims, the Smiley project research design was structured around the concept of social mindedness. Its essential definition can be summed up in these words. Social mindedness is the individual attitude oriented to guarantee in daily life interactions the benefits for individuals involved in social relationships and, on a wider scale, the improvement of the whole social context. Considering this, the concept of social mindedness crosses the main structural aspects of social reality: socialization, family, educational institutions, social organizations, and groups. Furthermore, this definition denotes a concept that links social cohesion and socialization to inclusion dynamics. The methodological consequences of this assumption were operationalized through the individual capacity to develop a system of values and positive code of social-oriented behavior. In this sense, social mindedness is an expression of prosocial behavior, creating harmonious relationships among group members. From a theoretical point of view, the concept of social mindedness is an umbrella composed by 5 dimensions that promotes and facilitates integration processes. These dimensions are membership, that means the sense of belonging to an holistic context, as for example the hometown. Interdependence, that means the recognition of individual actions is directly linked to the action of others as social actors. Interactive dynamics that express the structure of relational networks into the daily life experience. Cooperation that indicates the relational process in order to reach common goals, and family habits that underlines the role of the family as cultural entity in socialization and inside the educational processes. Proceeding from these considerations, it is clear that the concept shares with the non-formal educational practices the belief that the young learners are capable, curious and imaginative. They are the active protagonists of social change and evolution. In consequence of this, the holistic development of individuals is catalyzed by the active role of learners, considered as creators of knowledge and meanings with peers and adults. In fact, the concept of social mindedness focuses its attention upon the communitarian dimension of individual development, following the Ezionis lessons. From a concrete point of view, my proposal is to explicitly forecast specific homeschooling activities related to the 5 dimensions of social mindedness. More in detail, the concept becomes an operative proposal for non-formal educational routes structured around the above-mentioned 5 dimensions. In order to better clarify this point, it is useful to suggest a concrete route of implementation placed inside the homeschooling activities and practices. Obviously, this is only a proposal designed to exemplify one of the possible trajectories stimulating the involvement of children and pre-adolescent homeschoolers. Let's take a look inside this proposal. Membership. Stimulate the positive awareness of diversity and the communitarian feeling, for example, encouraging learners in helping disadvantaged people through the charity works. Interdependence. Stimulate the individual responsibility in order to act in synergism with the others, encouraging the participation to ecological campaigns for environmental conservation. Interactive dynamics. Engage children into relational networks very different from the family and homeschooling community in order to foster their ability to deal with difference, creating harmonious relationships, even with the support of ICT. And cooperation. Realize alternative forms of cooperation outside the family circle, promoting, for example, the participation to sport activities and or virtuous competitions as the artist contest. Family habits, the last one. In order to foster a wide and critical sense of time and space, promote the knowledge of the familiar history, framing it into the broader historical flows. For example, practicing cultural tourism. At this point, it is useful to remember that this process of implementation has to respect the inner logic and, in a certain sense, the spirit of the homeschooling pedagogical model. In fact, in order to succeed in the implementation of the social mindedness model into the homeschooling practices, it is important to ensure the educational flexibility in respect of the individual interests, needs and talents. In fact, the relationship between teaching and learning is dialogical, and the key role of the parents is like a discrete director that facilitates and integrates experience of knowledge and cognitive development. Moreover, this process is possible only if it is based upon a definition of engaged learning in the perspective of both trainers, parents, and trainees, children, remembering that learners take responsibility for their own learning, constructing knowledge from the daily life experience. But it is crucial to underline, in order to avoid role confusion, that parents have the responsibility of contents and methods. By immersing the homeschoolers in daily life activities characterized by rich conceptual meanings and encouraging them to explore and discover, the homeschoolers experiment the social competence, skills and disposition necessary for social integration. In this way, the social mindedness experience enables the young learners to develop the necessary bag of knowledge, useful for securing a sustainable and peaceful world in which everyone has the right to fulfill his/her potential. In conclusion, embedding the social mindedness approach into homeschooling practices is a proposal based upon the possibility of offering an interpretative and organizational criterion for educational activities. This strategy permits to assess the progresses of learners as a moral and social maturity. Throughout the paradigmatic concept of social mindedness, the educational process becomes a useful social investment focused upon the renewal of societal human resources. Thank you for your attention.